I decided to talk about this instead of sharing the video, well, the video / audio, getting it for the audio of what ended up just being a talk, not a fight, when I was just ready with the audio, because normally any kind of attempt to talk turns into a fight, but also because it helps me listen again and really get the stuff in my head. And this morning I woke up in the 3 a.m. hour and couldn't get back to sleep. So because it was a couple hours almost of audio, spent some of the dark hours listening to it. And I've just been weepy today, so it's just part of it. I realized that if I'm gonna try to talk to him, I need to do it in a way that puts me in a vulnerable place. He can deal with that a lot better than my strong place. So I led into it by asking where I've fallen short and being who he wanted me to be. And that opened up the doorway for being able to tell him different things that will probably get used against me at some point if he wishes to. Like, why I never told him about the times that I was going up to my sister's, which I didn't call it that, I just called it putting my stuff in storage. And even planning the vacation for our kids, since I had been trying to get it going since winter, and it was like hitting a wall after bringing it up a couple times, and his excuses with that. And even in there was little bits that I can see now of control. Like with him stating that since Mother's Day, he feels like it's good for us to get some space. And during that time after that, when I just quit communicating with him about anything, because like I said, it was damned if I do and damned if I don't. He was upset that I just wasn't telling him how I was using the card. An authorized user on his account that he gave me when I was pregnant. I didn't ask for it, he just did it. But that's something I use for gas or groceries, or when our daughter needs, she's growing, she needs new things. It hasn't been anything else but that. And so him stating he's upset that I'm not talking to him about using it lately, that tells me fully it's about control. Like, I need permission to go buy the groceries for me when I had said that I would cut back on buying treats and just more strictly buy the items for meals to help him not panic so much about money with the tuition for our daughter's private school that she's gonna start. And choosing that school because between her being a nature kid, an artistic kid, really getting into tinkering to create things, it's the perfect place for her at this point. And when he would get vengeful and go out and buy his shit, which is just bunches of cookies, lots of potato chips, corn chips, things to go with the dips with those chips. Different meat products, big amounts of milk and creamers, the animal stuff. You know, it's a whole big middle finger to how we've been living for the last 4 years and how I've been most close to since he's known me. You know, when he started doing that, I was just like, well, fuck it. Why am I working so hard to make sure that I'm not buying all this extra stuff for my big kid or treats for my daughter's, you know, snacks for what I pack for her lunch? If he's gonna go spend $100 when he's so concerned about money, but I need to control it, just... But the biggest thing that came through that talk was multiple angles of him coming around that if I don't work on my shit and see him in a positive light in the time limit of like a year and come back around wanting to have sex and being willing to sleep in his bed and basically jump into the life that I feel like has killed me, then I know who is gonna be in our daughter's life. And in every single way, it'll be my fault. And this person, when we were first dating, like, he's known her since college, and he's tried multiple times to have something with her. When I met him, he was either in or getting into being 42, and he wasn't sexually into anything until in his 30s, mainly because he went to a place and paid for it. And so, I don't know, even in my younger days, I wouldn't have taken that on because I don't want to have to teach somebody what to do and how to be. And for some reason, I guess maybe because the love of my life had moved away and I was still a little shell-shocked at being ghosted out as he tried to forget about me. And he didn't, so we'd stayed in touch off and on until he died. But, you know, we were in our first 3 months of dating, him coming up to where I was and basically staying in my apartment for a week because he worked from home. He could just bring his computer and that left me time to run around and do my stuff, which really the only thing I was looking at was the quantity of time, because the person that I really loved could only spend about 1 full day with me because of the care that he had to give his dogs. He had to go back to them. So I know I wasn't looking at things right, but he would like get on his phone and look at pictures of her and cry, and part of me just was like, I guess if I don't want that. I mean, the crying I found absurd, because why are you with me if you're crying about somebody else? While I would talk about my exes, but in the terms of like what I learned, what the gift was from the relationship I had with them, what I learned about myself. So I consider her to have been in that chapter then. In the 2 months that we were split up, when he first verbally abused me when I didn't know I was pregnant to when I let him know that I was, he was back with her again. And I don't know how long in the in-between, but I know that when I was pregnant with our daughter and we were living together, which was it was less than 4 months time before she was born, but it was in that time period when I was still pregnant, that he had welcomed her into the landscape. I'd hear them talking on the phone, and you know, I didn't know for 3 years that he had regularly been paying her money and sort of being the go-to boy so that he could have a backup plan. But 3 years of paying her hundreds of dollars each month while I was supposed to cut down costs. So I know in narcissism this is considered the discard phase, and probably peppered with some additional complication of, because I've changed in being who I normally am with him and not being who I was in the earliest time, that it's just me bringing all this shit on myself. No, I'm not allowed to just build a life under the umbrella of what an us is. You know, with him being what Dr. Ramani called a neglectful narcissist. The kind where you're alone when you're not alone. And you're not seen, nothing's acknowledged. But I don't know, after listening to it again, I don't know, it just really set it more home where I didn't feel good after the talk. And him using that time to put his hands all over me and force kisses when that hasn't happened in years since I moved out of the room. And then with me waking up in the 3 a.m. hour and being awake until laying down to snuggle my daughter awake. And then like an hour after I got back from dropping her off at school, and he'd woken up for his work meeting. He's still working from home, and he's up maybe 10-15 minutes and then goes back to bed. And even after I wake up, it's getting near 11 a.m. and he's still asleep. And the way it just stabs. And it's funny because I'm not even in this, but it's just like, god damn, this never had a chance to be anything else. Even during the illusion years of not even really knowing what this was. But not even feeling like I have a ground to stand on when I know that he was up late talking to her after our talk to placate her, to keep her hanging in for that whole triangulation of her talking shit about me knowing it's going on, and just how ugly that feels. But even getting into it in my vulnerable place to not be attacked, me talking like I would not really want to talk about what we are for a year, and I let him know that I have already spoken to our daughter about Daddy having another girl, and to trust how she feels when she meets this person, because I know that he'll go to her when I'm at school, even though he might not have sex with her because she won't have sex with him, but it's not him cheating, right? So that's the BS and what this is. I need to go in since I have frozen stuff in the trunk. One more errand to do.